there's two sides. There's the artist side, obviously, and there's the promoter side. Artists work off guarantees and the most common deal, guarantee versus percentage, and I think I discussed that a little bit earlier. So if they have these big, huge shows, big, huge guarantees go with it, and then the percentages after that, and the percentages of the big artists are, we're talking 90-10 deals. And those deals are if you're working usually with different promoters. You could do deals today that are much more complex, that actually the promoter, Live Nation, AEG, and others, companies that are owned by those companies, actually purchase the whole tour. And they take all the revenue and throw it in one pot and figure out how it's split. And those are tours that a lot of, you have seen. The Police is a tour like that. Rolling Stones was a tour like that. Madonna, obviously, with their new Live Nation deal, will be tours like that. U2 was a tour like that, where it was purchased by a promoter, and that promoter basically handled everything. We're talking about, deals and sponsorships that could be media buy deals, where possibly even money didn't even change hands. For example, U2 did their sponsor, which most people are familiar with if you ever turn on the TV, where Bono was singing with this little product of white little headphones going into his little iPod, dancing around. That was the first ad that iPod did, that style ad that they've been very prosperous on. $100 million media purchase for U2 Apple. No, the money didn't change hands. Well, if you're U2 and you're an older band like that, I guess that's old today. I look at them as a young band. But you're looking at outlets to get your music heard. Well, there it is, all over the TV. If you're selling tickets for your tour, and they sold a hell of a lot of tickets, you're looking at a way to promote the tour. Well, that promotes the tour. All of a sudden, you've lowered your cost of marketing your record, you've got an outlet for your music, you lowered the cost of marketing your tour, you got an outlet to sell the tour, and the company who wants to associate their brand with your brand gets to do that and markets their product. And the money isn't necessarily changing hands. It's just both companies are benefiting from this major media buy, which Apple would probably do anyhow in another way. And of course, then they had their U2, whatever, iPod. But so there's those things. So if they're looking at, they have that, and then or they have specific sponsors for the artist side where they get actually paid plus media buys, and it could be in the millions of dollars. Then you go on to the promoter side, and I've already mentioned sponsor for the building, sponsors for the concert series at these venues. So they'll have someone like, Budweiser is real common in that. Budweiser will sponsor a bunch of shows. That goes to the promoter. Parking, every ticket has a charge, usually somewhere $3, $5. So when you drive in your car into an amphitheater, 4 people, if it's $5 ticket parking charge, you've just paid $20 to park. If you park over on that left side that says parking $30, VIP parking on the premises, because you want to get out the same day that you actually went there, and you paid $30, then you paid $50 to park, because you already paid for parking. That is non-sharing revenue to the band. If the facility fees, which is a real common fee everywhere, started out, mainly with like opera houses that had, beautiful wainscoting, nice seats, and nice carpet. People walk in, they lean against the walls, dirty walls, need to paint the walls, place the parking, fix the seats. $1.50 a ticket, restoration facility fees. Well, on every amphitheater show, the facility fees runs about 10%. So if a ticket is $75, that's $7.50. And if you've been to an amphitheater, cement, plastic, facility, restoration is the hose. That's a profit center. Everyone understands it. It's all above board. Those are, profit centers. So parking's non-sharing, facility fees non-sharing. There's always seats that are non-sharing. There's revenue from merchandise, that concessions, their side of it somewhere, depending where it is. Say it's 30%. You buy a T-shirt for $30. It's $9 to the facility. Whoever owns the facility gets $9. The rest of it will go to the merchandise company, who the artist will have a licensing agreement with, so they'll profit from that. So there's a lot of different sources of revenue from both sides, and that are generated from tours. And that being said, and both sides have obviously pretty high expense too, to put on shows and to put on tours. But yeah, it's a major revenue source for all artists. I mean, you start calculating. I gave you the calculation. It's $100 a ticket at 20,000. It's $2 million. And there's another interesting thing, and I'll ask you, John. If you were able to sell 8 shows, $2 million a show, right? Gross. Sell them in advance, and they sell them that way, right? Rolling Stones put them up, they're gone. They're not coming to your town possibly for some of the shows 3 months, some shows out 6 months. And if they do multiple shows, and they do $10 million, $16 million was the number I was just threw out, but say they do $10 million gross, where does that money go? Where would you put the money? I mean, think about this. It's sold in March, and it doesn't change hands till September or something, August, September, and we got $10 million. $10 million has changed hands from the ticket buyer to Ticketmaster or whoever. Well, future Live Nation will be, supposedly as Ticketmaster contracts expire, that are with Ticketmaster contracts are with buildings, by the way, not with the promoter. As they expire, they'll bring in their own, and we have that kind of money. I don't think we stick it in our, in our mattress. We don't put it in our piggy bank. Put it in an escrow account that probably earns, what, minimum 5% today? Easily. $10 million a year, simple interest. What are we looking at?
$50,000.
Yeah. So what happens with that money? So do the bands get it or the promoter? And so if we're looking at it that way, and you're saying that this is one, I'm looking at that's one city. That's city after city after city. So artists understand this. So either they may have it in their riders that all interest goes into interest-bearing account that they get, or maybe they're looking at it and say, hey, cost of doing business, so this is why I get 90%. Or if it's in a amphitheater, the percentages can actually go higher. And I have seen deals, I've seen them where it's 100% zero. Why? Because facility seats, parking, concessions, interest, different seats, box seats that aren't in sharing with the artist, things like that. So all that has something to do with the cost of doing business and how these companies make money. It's not, the ticket is one part of it, and there's everything else for the promoter side. The artist side, it's a ticket, obviously, and sponsorships, and then we have endorsements and other things. But so if you look at tours and you look at this, you say to yourself, yeah, there were people playing music, in the Roman days before, those tragic games. And it started then. They didn't have recorded music then. And they're still playing music today. Internet, no internet, space travel, whatever. I don't give a damn. We're playing music on stage. And what it generates revenue for an actual artist is who's successful. I'm not, and that's what we're looking at, because that's what supports the whole business, by the way. The bigger the art, if you have these artists, everyone benefits down the road. I don't know if these numbers are exactly correct. You can look them up. But someone once said, before Tiger Woods got into golf, the average PGA holder on tour made $60,000 a year. After Tiger Woods, the average golfer made $360,000 a year. Why? Because Tiger Woods drove that business so high with endorsements and sponsors, and ticket prices go up and people follow it. I think it's the same in the touring business. I think we need, I don't know if parity is the best. We need big artists to keep driving it, support all these things. Advances and splits, everything is saying, this is the kind of business we can do. And based on history of that artist, history of the region, competitive tours, what other tours did the previous year. So if you can, show that you can go out and sell hundreds of thousands of tickets and do it like that, big advance, very high split. And like I said, now with these big tours, all basically encompassing tours, some of them where they sign with the promotion company, Live Nation, where they do the sponsorship deals, the building deals, the DVD deals. I mean, we're talking, this is just on the touring side. Merchandise deals, all that stuff is handled by them. There's been tours where artists have been guaranteed $100 million, and then they would actually, from there, everything would, different than doing separate deals, that everything would be cross-collateralized, just like a record deal, right? Cross-collateralized, this show with this show with this show with this show. At the end of the day, we calculate what the promoter side gets and what the artist side gets. I'm not, I don't know how the ins and outs of totally of those shows. I haven't seen those deals, but yeah, those are pretty high profit, high end deals, and the cost of, obviously it gets back to that same example I gave, a simple example, cost of money. And so if they generated all so much advance, there's a lot of potential money there.